It's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. You've been sitting at your desk for the last hour. The document is open. The task is clear. You know exactly what you need to do. And you haven't done a single thing. You've checked your phone 4 times, made a second cup of coffee you didn't need, reorganized your desk, read 3 paragraphs of the same article, and now you're watching a video about productivity instead of actually being productive. Sound familiar? Here's what you tell yourself in that moment. I'm lazy. I have no discipline. Other people have some kind of willpower I just wasn't born with. And if I could just find enough motivation, the right playlist, the right mindset, the right Monday morning, I'd finally get my life together. I told myself that for years, genuinely believed it, sat there feeling guilty while the people around me seemed to just do things effortlessly, like they had access to something I didn't. Turns out they did, but it had nothing to do with willpower. Your brain is lazy. Scientifically, provably, embarrassingly lazy. In evolutionary biology, this is called calorie conservation. Your brain is always hunting for the path of least resistance. So when a task feels heavy or painful, it manufactures friction, hesitation, distraction. And that friction leads to procrastination every single time. The people who get things done aren't more disciplined than you. They just know how to work with their brain instead of against it. And once I understood that, everything changed. Here's exactly what I learned. Step 1. The 5-second friction rule. Your brain runs on something called internal activation energy. Think of it like the minimum fuel required to start your engine. If the startup cost of a task is too high, your brain won't even attempt it. I used to sit down to work with my phone right next to me, notifications on, 17 browser tabs open, and then wonder why I couldn't focus for more than 4 minutes. I wasn't indisciplined. I had just built a perfect environment for distraction. So your only job is to make starting easier than avoiding. Leave the book open on your desk. Keep the document already pulled up. Put your gym bag by the door the night before. When the distance between you and the task is small, your brain stops negotiating and just starts. Now flip it. Make distractions harder to reach. Put your phone in another room. Switch the router off before you sit down to work. When your brain figures out that getting a cheap dopamine hit actually requires effort, the impulse dies on the spot. Or, completely valid scientific method, just go sit next to your dad. I guarantee you will not touch your phone once. Peer-reviewed, trust me. Step 2. Dopamine scarcity. Here's what nobody told me about scrolling. It wasn't just wasting my time, it was physically breaking my brain's ability to tolerate effort. When your brain has constant access to high dopamine, zero-effort rewards, reels, notifications, YouTube shorts, it recalibrates. Hard tasks stop feeling challenging. They start feeling genuinely painful. There's a study published in the journal Neuron that found exactly this. When dopamine receptors are constantly flooded by easy rewards, the brain loses its willingness to work for anything long-term. Show this to your mother next time she asks why your stomach hurts before school. It's literally neuroscience. The fix is simple but uncomfortable. Before any important task, sit in complete silence for 10 minutes. No screen, no music, nothing. Just you and your extremely boring thoughts. What this does is reset your stimulation threshold. The task that felt impossible 10 minutes ago suddenly feels manageable. You haven't become smarter, you've just stopped competing with a dopamine flood. Boredom is a tool, an unsexy, underrated, extremely effective tool. Step 3. The Zeigarnik Loophole. There's a quirk in your brain that once I discovered it, I couldn't stop using it. Your brain hates unfinished tasks. This was discovered by psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik after she noticed that waiters could remember incredibly complex unpaid orders with perfect accuracy. But the exact second the bill was settled, the information vanished completely, gone, like my motivation on a Sunday evening. An open loop creates subconscious tension. Your brain keeps pulling you back toward anything left incomplete. Here's how you use this. Stop trying to finish the whole thing in one sitting. That scale paralyzes you before you even begin. Instead, make a micro-commitment. Tell yourself you'll write 1 sentence, read for exactly 2 minutes, open the document and type literally 1 word.
That's it. Loop is open. Your brain will do the rest on its own. The hardest part of any task is always the first 5 seconds. Make the entry point so small it feels almost embarrassing to avoid. Step 4. State-dependent anchors. This one took me the longest to figure out, and it made the biggest difference. You cannot force focus in a space your brain associates with comfort and switching off. Your nervous system reads your environment constantly and matches your behavior to it. I used to study in my bed, watch movies in my bed, scroll for 2 hours in my bed, and then wonder why every time I tried to do serious work there, my brain would just shut down. It wasn't laziness. My environment had trained me to be useless in that space. This goes back to B.F. Skinner's work on operant conditioning. Your environment is conditioning your behavior whether you realize it or not. So, I built one dedicated space, one specific chair, one desk that exists only for focused work. When I sit there, I work. That's the only thing that happens there. No phone, no casual browsing, no watching one quick video that turns into 40 minutes of cooking fails. Within a few weeks, something shifted. The moment I sat in that chair, my brain already knew what was happening. The negotiations stopped. The friction disappeared. I'd trained my own nervous system to focus on command. Environment design isn't a productivity hack. It's the foundation that makes everything else actually work. And if none of this works, just sit next to your dad again. Truly undefeated method. So back to that Wednesday afternoon, 2 p.m., blank document, 1 hour wasted. Here's what that version of me didn't know. The problem was never motivation. It was never discipline. It was never some character flaw I needed to fix. It was friction, dopamine, open loops, and an environment that was quietly working against me every single day. You now have 4 tools that work with your biology instead of against it. Lower the friction toward what matters. Reset your stimulation threshold. Open the loop so your brain does the heavy lifting, and design your environment so focus becomes the default. The person who figures this out and the person who doesn't, a year from now, they won't even recognize each other. Which one are you going to be? See you in the next one.